So good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this session on risk management during uncertainties, business continuity management, and fixed asset management. My name is Gaëtan, and I'm working with the European Enterprise team of MBG Corporate Services. It is a real pleasure to be your host for today's session. So let's dive into today's agenda. We will begin with a brief introduction to MBG Corporate Services and the three speakers. This will be followed by the discussion on our main topics for today. And finally, we will conclude with how MBG can assist you. So let me then briefly introduce MBG Corporate Services to you. So we are a global consultancy firm covering Europe, Middle East, and Asia. We have our operational headquarters in Dubai with 16 offices in 8 different countries. We currently support over 5,000 clients globally, ranging from the Fortune 500, government, all the way to SMEs and startups. To help all these clients, we have an in-house team of 600 experts. So what sets us apart is our Foreign Enterprise Group, a framework designed to bridge cultural, linguistic, and technical barriers. We have Arabic team, European, Japanese, Chinese, and Indian with native speakers to support you at every stage. So now, why are we different? Because we offer a 360-degree approach combining not only consulting, but also industry and regulatory experience. With a wide range of services, we work with companies even before the launch into the various phases of the growth journey. So this makes us unique as we're able to customize our solutions for clients of all scales and maturity across geographies. As you can see, our services range from audit and assurance, risk advisory, indirect tax comprising VAT, excise, and customs, direct tax focusing on city compliance, legal advisory with the company formation and PRO, mergers and acquisition from both buy and sell side, and strategy and transformation, such as market analysis and feasibility studies. We also have a core sector-specific solutions for oil and gas, energy, power utilities, and others. As a firm, we mostly work sector agnostic, but naturally we have experience in almost all sectors. So yeah, that is a bit about us. Feel free to ask more detailed questions after the session. And now let's dive into our topic of the day, and I hereby introduce our three speakers. So the first speaker for today is Janaki Ram, chartered accountant with 12 plus years of experience across Big Four, consulting firms, and multinational organizations, specializing in enterprise risk management, internal audit, SOX IFC, and governance advisory. He has advised boards, audit committees, and senior leadership, leading complex multi-location engagements to strengthen control environments and deliver actionable risk insights. Second speaker of today is Ganesh Ram. He's RCAA and CISA certified IT and process auditor with over 14 years of experience leading complex multi-location engagements for global organizations. Ganesh is specialized in scheduling and conducting risk-based audits across ISO standard requirements, enterprise risk management, and business continuity management. Additionally, he is also an expert in assessing and providing strategic governance advisory for UAE AI and ICA and SOC frameworks. The third speaker of today is Mahmoud Diab, a seasoned finance and advisory professional with over 15 years of experience in consulting, financial advisory, and assurance services. He has successfully led and delivered complex engagement across Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Lebanon, the wider region, serving diverse sectors, including defense, real estate, construction, oil and gas, and government entities. So now, over to you, Janaki, and thank you very much, all of you, for being with us today.
Thank you, Ethan, for that quick intro. So myself, Janaki Ram, I'm a director in the Risk Advisory Services. I work closely with the CFOs and audit committees across service lines, across clients in different sectors on the risk and governance and internal assurance part. So today I want to quickly run past with the risk management during uncertainties. So with the current situations, what is happening across the GCC, about the challenging environment, what we are facing today. So everyone is facing uncertainty, which is driven by economic volatility or some geopolitical developments, what is happening in the recent times. Or there are some regulatory changes, or there is an operational disruptions that are happening because the entire supply chain is going on a lower run and etc. So there may be disruptions in business operations. So in such circumstances, how well we should be prepared. So it is very critical for the organizations to strengthen their resilience and ensure the business continuity at this point of time. So maintaining the strong governance and financial oversight. We help the organizations to have a structured and proactive approach to the risk management to identify the risk across your sector, and also help you to implement the mitigation strategies, financial and operational. So this ensure being sustainability. So below. These are the few topics what we want to highlight. The organization should be focusing on these critical areas, and most importantly, at this challenging times. So one is the business continuity management. So every organization should have robust continuity and a disaster recovery plans to handle disruptions. They should have a proper policy, audit mechanisms, and etc. Or the enterprise risk management, the second box, what we can see here. The organizations should have a structured framework to identify, assess, and monitor their enterprise-wide risks from top to bottom across all the service functions. And they should have the risk management plans, the registers, and etc. And you talk about corporate governance, which is one of the key area where we have to have strong governance structures and decision-making process at these times. And there's an internal controls enhancement. So as if we should have and strengthen, we should strengthen our control environments to reduce any operational and financial risks that we can encounter at these times. And physical verification of assets, to ensure the asset accuracy is there and safeguarding the company resources. And there's some compliance support, or there is some support from the staffing point of view, where we are there here to help, to bridge those gaps, what we generally encounter at this point of time. So to sum it up, overall, the objective is to help the organizations to navigate this uncertainty with the confidence by strengthening the governance, improving the risk visibility, and in ensuring the operational resilience is there. So with this understanding, with the overall importance of the risk management, we try to, at these times, I'll hand it to my colleagues who will take you through some of the key areas in more detail. So this will specifically, they will specifically walk you through the business continuity management and some of the critical components we have proposed, along with the practical insights and how organization has to be implement this effectively. So over to you, Ganesh. You can take it forward.
Thank you so much, Janaki, and thank you so much, Gaten, for the brief introduction. Yes, I think we are currently on the topic, and I thank MBG for providing this opportunity to be part of this webinar, where they have brought in the right topic at the right time, I would say. And without any further delays, let me dwell into the topic. All right, so starting with the basic definitions, as you have already been known and what business continuity management system is, I would like to dwell you through on the basic definitions from the book of standards. So as part of the business continuity management system is concerned, according to ISO 22301 ISO standard, so it is a framework or an organization to establish and implement, maintain, and continually improve their ability to plan, respond, and recover from any kind of disruptive events. And business continuity, as it is a capability of an organization to continue the delivered products and services on time so that they satisfy their customers, and also to ensure that business is running continuously without further delays. And business continuity plan is a part of a document or a guideline which helps the organization to respond to any kind of disruption and resume, recover, and restore their delivery products or services consistently without any further delays, so that it also assumes and it accepts the business continuity objectives. And business impact analysis is mainly a process of analyzing what are all your critical processes, critical business, critical services. And based on that, you will be deriving with the recovery time and recovery point objective, so which will also help the organization to restore their businesses within the respective time so that they don't have multi or major impacts to their businesses. And this will also help the organization to align with what are all the required resources that is available, skilled resources and skill assets, and what are all the alternative plans that I can prepare the organization to continue their businesses. And continual improvement, as we already do it in all the exercises, it's going to be the continual assessment of the processes and then identify the respective gaps, and also to ensure what are all the lessons learned from those gaps so that we can always correct it if something goes wrong. Now, so you would have been thinking like, why do I need this training? So why this training is important to me? So business continuity doesn't a responsibility of an IT or a top management, and this is really a responsibility of each and every resources in the organization, so that it makes the people strong, and it also makes the process strong if all the resources are aware about what the business continuity plan within their organization is and what is their roles and responsibility are. So as part of this training, so it's just not going to be a corporate requirement. It is going to be the safety, your job security, and also the collective resilience, what we are going to plan and what we are going to see in this awareness training, so that this mainly helps the organization to come over any kind of scenarios or any kind of impact that the business is currently facing. Now, the first and foremost, the training equips you with a clear roadmap. In a crisis, the biggest enemy is going to be a panic. Everybody is currently into a panic mode, and that's because they don't know what are their roles and responsibilities are. So by this webinar, we can clearly understand what everybody's roles and responsibilities are, and now we replace the confusion with the confidence when everybody knows what they have to do in terms of a crisis. And you will also exactly know who's in charge and what is the hierarchy looks like under any BCP policy. And we will also be focusing on the communication protocols and during a disruption, whether it is going to be a cyber attack or a geopolitical emergency, what are all the standard channels that could be used, what are all the alternate channels that could be used, either it's going to be a Gmail or a WhatsApp or a phone call or any other alternative channels. And we will also discuss on how we stay in touch and what your specific roles is during these kind of golden hours. And we will also prepare the team in reducing the stress. So when you know what exactly you are doing and what your daily tasks are, this will obviously reduce the rest. And you'll also know that what are all the critical tasks that you need to focus on, what are all the tasks that can wait. So that will also be, we will help you to identify as part of this training. And we will help you to identify what are all the critical functions or processes of your organization, and so that you are not overwhelmed when systems aren't 100% operational. And as a key part of today's training and learning, we will let you know how we will prepare you or how the business can operate when something is not in place, or how you can operate when there is an internet connectivity or when the backing systems are down. What are all the other scenarios that that needs to be considered? How do we still serve our customers in case of the business downtime situations or when there is going to be a business impact? And we have a manual workarounds designed to keep the business moving around. And we will also see some sample testing exercises as part of this webinar, which will also help you or gain you understand that how I need to run my businesses or how I can prepare my business to face any kind of the disruptions. And finally, so as part of the certification standards like ISO 22301 or any organizational or country-specific laws and regulations are concerned, we will also help you to teach you how you can identify those gaps and how you can build those gaps, and then what are all the lessons learned out of your exercises, and which will definitely help you to be defensive as part of your exercise. So next, moving on to the business continuity management system. As everybody knows that this is an organizational nervous system that kicks on when something goes wrong. And just to update you on the BCMS definitions, the BCMS isn't just a document sitting on the shelf. So it is a structured framework, and it also means that we don't wing it when a crisis hits. It allows to anticipate the risk before anything happens and ensures that even during an incident like a cyber attack or any kind of an internet or IT failure, we continue to deliver our core services at an acceptable level. So we might not be at 100% capability or capacity immediately to switch over to an alternate business, but we will never be at 0%. And a BCMS is, as I said, it doesn't mean a document sitting on its shelf, right? So the benefits of the BCMS are, so based on implementing the BCMS, they can identify the critical business processes. You can reduce the impact of disruptions on the business operations. You ensure that continuity of the critical services are intact, and then protect your critical data. And also by enabling your recovery time and recovery point objectives, you'll also be able to respond to the incidents at the right time. Either it's going to be a natural disaster, or it's going to be a geopolitical situation, or it's going to be a power or a telecom failure, or supplier or third-party service failures. Those things can be addressed when you have a right process in place. And what do actually BCM covers? If you look at the circular graphic on the right, you will see that business continuity is a continuous loop, and it doesn't stop anywhere. And it starts with the impact analysis. So which means like understanding what hurts the most if it stops, or what are all your critical processes and the critical businesses. And then we will move on to the recovery strategies. So which mainly helps you to understand how do we fix it? How do we recover your business from any kind of an impact? And you have a plan development where you write the playbook and you circulate it amongst all your staff so that everybody are on the same page and they understand that what you have to do in case of a business downtime. And finally, testing and maintenance. So every exercise completes with testing and maintenance. Without that, the exercise is not complete. So only based on your testing and maintenance, you plan what needs to be tested and whether your company is ready for taking any kind of an alternate steps or alternate actions. And we test to ensure that the cycle stays unbroken. And it is not just IT, as I already said, it is a responsibility of all the resources in the organization to continue with the business continuity plan. So moving on to the next topic, and why do we need BCP? So everyone can associate it from the photos, right? We are currently facing a lot of these in our lifestyle. So either it's going to be a flood, or it's going to be cyber attack incidents or geopolitical incidents. The disasters are being increasing year on year. And in our current global and regional climate, BCP is no longer a luxury or a IT thing. It is a fundamental requirement for business to stay on. So as part of the survival and continuity, at its simplest level, BCP is about survival. So it is the difference between a temporary disruption and a permanent business failure. So we plan so that no matter the event be, it is a natural disaster or a cyber attack, the open for business sign-in stays always lit. And as part of the critical banking services, we can ensure that there are some kind of an uninterrupted critical banking services might apply. Either it's going to be a ATM not working, or it's going to be a card transaction failure, or it's going to be an online or internet mobile banking failure. And there could also be something related to payment, clearing, and settlements, and treasury and interbanking failures because of these geopolitical tensions or any kind of BCP attacks that could take place. And in terms of why do we need the BCP in terms, we should always protect our customers' trust and financial stability. So at any point in time, if in case of any kind of an outage, the customer believes us, and we should always maintain the customer trust and then the financial stability. So if we have a strong BCP in place, we will always try to kicking those alternate measures and alternate steps to ensure that we can keep up the trust and the financial stability. And all the regulatory and central bank requirements, as you already know that the UAE is already been tend to meet the central bank requirements and financial regulatory requirements, and also should meet the ISO standards and 27001 alignments or 22301 or any kind of business legal and regulatory requirements. We should have BCP in place to meet those standard requirements. And by having the BCP, proper BCP, robust BCP in place, we can also manage the technology, and we can also handle any kind of cyber attacks. We can ensure that at least the critical businesses are growing and then continuing, so that we provide seamless business interruption services to all our clients. And by having these services, we can also ensure that we can respond effectively and at a timely manner to any kind of operational disruptions, and we can also reduce the financial losses and protect our employees and stakeholders from any kind of loss. So let's now look into some kinds of business case studies which I have picked up from the current scenarios. Due to the current geopolitical situations, we already know that we have already been meeting with some kind of an escalation tensions. Either it's going to be a missile or drone attacks on multiple targets, and this has been affecting the many airports. So the flights were not able to reach their destinations on time. So there have been a widespread of disruptions across the airport closures or flight cancellations, supply chain attacks, supply chain halts, and also there are some kind of elevated cyber threats which are also currently happening. So even though we have strong response measures in place, the business, there is going to be some kind of a disruption in the normal business operations because all these essentials, when something is scared, they will automatically affect the normal businesses. These are all the challenges that we are currently facing. And as kind of a business response, already we know that how the organization and the government are reacting to the business response, as they are trying to operate the minimum flight levels, and some organizations are already started kicking off the work from home operations, and they are also routed few critical operations or businesses to the other part of the world. And these are all some kind of the BCP response, which a few companies have already kicked in. And many companies are still trying to adapt these kind of responses. And this is where I would suggest that we need to have a robust business continuity process in place. We have a real-time roles and responsibilities written down, and we have the policies or processes in place so that we can quickly shift our focus on the alternate business where we can deliver the product and services without much delays. As part of the outcome, there is going to be a minimal long-term damage and quick resumption of flights closed. Everything is going to be clear. And they also have lots of lessons learned, like how do we emphasize the multi-scenario planning or simultaneously on threats. So moving on to the next case study, where this is related to the public sector organizations, so ensuring the current continuity and essential services like healthcare, transportation, and utilities amid the conflict. And the BCP response is they already have, some companies or organizations already have a BCM toolkit, and where they have been activated, and including like an early warning systems or logical support. They already have been working on an alternate support to ensure that all their critical processes are being functioning up. And they also have a robust risk management processes in place where the critical risks have been identified and then reported, and that also been mitigated. As part of the outcome, since they have all these processes in place, the services is operated normally. So even the critical stakeholders or the employees have not been informed about that there is a operational delay or functional delay because the robust process has helped them to switch over to the BCP operations, and through which they also have approved BCP roles, and they are showing a performance improvement of this. And key lessons learned is prioritize the workforce continuity amid the geopolitical situations, and they are also tackling the key challenges on what are all the cyber attacks and in case of any information security attacks that's currently taking place. Moving on to the business case studies on digital fortress strategy. As you are aware that there have been temporary service disruption on the Amazon Web Services a few days back, and about 2,400 international financial firms in this region. There is a risk of these companies facing statewide response attack or cyber threats or DDoS attack are often invisible, and it has already started kicking in. In the current regional climate, we have also seen a massive increase of 400% surge in statewide DDoS and ransomware attacks. In this case, the study shows how a financial firm in our region has built in the digital fortress to survive these escalations. And if you can look at the graphs or the maps on the right, it will clearly tell you that those companies who will see a classic mistake, the client relied on a single cloud provider within one region, and they throughout the cloud was invisible. However, when geopolitical tension rose, their connectivity was throttled, and their primary data was targeted for locking. And because they had no other secondary plan in place, the entire transaction system was at risk of being at a risk of total halt. And since companies have a business response strategy or business immutable backup in place, they quickly shifted it to a crossover technology, and which has become really a game changer for them. And they have created a mesh, and they linked their operations to be shifted to another region or another country. And this means that even if the local internet traffic was disrupted or throttled, the business could automatically fail over or switch to an alternate hub to keep services running. And the result was, staggering. And during a major regional ICP disruption, that left companies in the dark for more than 12 hours for few companies where they don't have robust processes in place. This meant that for other companies where they have a resilient action or resilient processes in place, they have kept the client climbed to 99% uptime. And their customers never noticed that there has been a disruption in their network, or they haven't noticed that there has been a crisis. They didn't just survive, they have also gained a massive competitive advantage from their clients. And the lessons learned here is due to the regular testing and due to geographic redundancy and due to business processes in place. And so the people have, or few companies who are able to maintain a 99% of uptime, and they are able to shift to an alternate redundancy within a stipulated amount of time. And we cannot assume that the internet or the cloud is always be there, or it's always going to be the same. We must have an alternate path to ensure that we don't suffer any kind of an IT loss. And it is also focused on backups is always important. And that who's responsible for business continuity? Is it an IT, or is it a HR, or is it going to be a management as a whole? As I would always suggest, because of business continuity or BCM resilience depends on the management and operational staff as well as technology and geographical diversity, this resilience must be developed through all levels of staffs and across all sites. So which means that this business continuity management is not even a responsibility of either a management or a IT. It is the responsibility of all staff and across all regions and all sites of your organization. So knowing that what to do in the event of an incident is paramount, and everyone in the business is collectively responsible for success of the process. And BCM enables us to build recovery strategies and resumption plans that supports us in protecting our organizational staff and the business operations, and having a clear understanding of how you can help resume the business in most effective way to protect the organization. So there is a common myth that BCP is IT's problem or management's job. This is incorrect. So it is actually an incident, or it might restore the server, but you are the ones, the people are the ones who are actually the frontliners who are working on the business operations. And I would say that it is the responsibility is spread out equally among all the resources who are working for the organization. And if you look at the image on the right, you could see a 4-quadrant. So where the BCP responsibilities on the graph, and we have broken down into 4 steps, which is know your role. So it is always the responsibility of the organization staff to know what their roles are and how they have to work from home or on an alternate site. So we can find out that in the later slides for the day. And followed by the protocols, and everybody has to doesn't have to improvise on what the actual protocols is. So we have to follow whatever the emergency standard procedure says, as we have a red button for a reason. So which means that all the staffs have to have a manual or emergency response procedures, which will clearly explain their roles and responsibilities and what their duties are. And we would always expect the employees to follow whatever is written in the manual that has been defined based on their organizations. And following the manuals also ensures everyone's to be staying on the same page. And protecting the customers' data, we as a management and we as a staff who is handling the customers' data is always on a priority to ensure that our clients feel supported and that their sensitive information remains secure even during a crisis. And communication, as the last, is utmost important for every organization to ensure that they have a robust communication process in place and the communication is clear and it is tactic for all the employees, which is actually a most valuable asset during a disaster. And tell us what you see and report any issues immediately. And that's going to be an important communication that we are going to keep the staff intact about it. Because we have to know the issues that needs to be reported immediately, even at the right time, so that the management or the respective staffs can respond to those kind of any incidents if that is reported on time. And the outcome is by understanding your specific roles and specific piece of puzzle, you aren't just helping the company, you're also protecting the entire organization and your customers' data. And individual preparedness reduces the time it takes us to recover. A 10-minute delay by one person can become 2-hour delay for the whole firm, is what we analyze. And as the tagline says, always stay calm, act fast, and keep safe in any kind of situation. So quickly running through the business BCM lifecycle. So business continuity management is a discipline that interconnects to the other core disciplines such as risk management, communications, information security, alerts. And as the management protects, it can be viewed as a number of activities. And PDCA cycle will be kicked in whenever we implement a business continuity management. So it's always a plan to check and act. We always ensure that these PDCA cycles are in line with our organizational objectives and the recommended standards and organizational regulatory laws and regulations. And the position of BCM in the organization, as you can always say, that we will be interacting with multiple roles and processes, as we may have to respond, report, and recover at times, which is required for an organization. So in terms of any tasks, so risk management comes as part of the preventive task, where the organization will look into what are all the enforcing risk and what are all the tactical response that they can make out of enforcing risk. And then based on that, there could be an incident management where the incidents are reported on time and the strategic responses are provided on time. And then as an operational response, the business continuity management kicks in, where the IT disaster recovery also plays a major role. So this is the main important slides where we will be focusing on defining our recovery objectives. The 3 main topics of BCM is recovery time objective, recovery point objective, and maximum tolerable period of disruption. So RTO is the length of the time following an incident, which will act for an organization to recover the organizational critical processes whenever the disaster event that kicks in. So if I can now point out using a laser. So let's say an example that the red donut here, which ideally depicts whatever is going to be a disaster event, and the RTO is the recovery time objective. So what is the time that an organization is defining for all their critical processes to be up and running after a disaster has occurred. And RPO is recovery point objective, which is a maximum available data loss for any kind of an incident. So it is not only the critical processes that needs to be up and running, we should also have the critical data that needs to be available from your backup restoration. And what is the minimum amount of data that needs to be defined for an organization to be available whenever the critical processes has to be kicked in. Maximum tolerable period of disruption is MTPD, duration which After an organization's viability will be irrevocably threatened if products and service delivery cannot be resumed within an RTO. So there could always be a delay either through IT or disruptions, or there is a delay in recovering the data from the backup. So this is where the MTPD kicks in. We always have a buffer time where the organization can decide this is my maximum tolerable period of disruption, where the organization will get into a major impact if we don't resume their business operations or the critical operations, whatever we have identified as part of the business impact analysis on time. So now these are also some kind of types of testing exercises what I want to run through. So we can run through either using a kind of a checklist or tabletop exercises, or we can do a walkthrough exercises and communication test. And we can do a IT disaster recovery test and the backup and restoration test. So these are some of the testing exercises which have been identified, and we have also provided a timeline which each and every organization has to be prepared, tested, so that they can target and they can recover their businesses critical activities on time when they are going to be an actual disaster. So what MBG can do for you? So these are all some kind of services which MBG offers for you. So we can either do a complete setup of your system, and we can analyze, or we can do a complete security compliance assessment to analyze where your organization stand in terms of business continuity management with respect to the regional and then technological advisory. We can also provide and recommend of an advisory risk assessment or vulnerability risk management or cybersecurity assessment. And then we will also do one kind of validation where the testing exercises tests different kind of what I have run through in the previous slides, which will kick in. And we will conclude with the training and awareness program for all your employees. And this is a basic implementation plan. And these are all our defined approach, where as part of the planning and definition, we will do a kickoff meeting, and then we will kickstart off your engagement with BCM governance and structure. And as part of the process implementation, we will do a business impact analysis, and then we do risk assessment, and then we will also ensure that all your process procedures are in place with your ISO standards. And analyzing and reporting, as part of the conclusion, we will do a complete assessment to ensure that all your processes, whatever we have implemented, is in line with ISO standards and regulatory requirements. And then we will also complete the analysis and training, and we will also provide the gap assessments, and then we will provide recommendations to address those gaps as well. And as part of the value delivered, we ensure that all your businesses are optimized according to the policies and procedures, and we will have an increased process efficiency and effectiveness. And you will be reconciled with the book of accounts, and then compliance with the laws and regulations. And you will also have improved monitoring and reporting over the process. And you will also have a quick turnaround of customer confidences, and you will have all your assets, people and processes in place, and they will all know that how they need to react in terms of business emergency. And with that, I conclude with the business continuity management session, and over to Mr. Mahmood on fixed asset management. Mahmood, if you can take.
Yes. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for joining us today, and hope all are safe. And we also would like to wish you a happy Eid in advance. I'm Mahmoud Diab. I'm a director here at MBG. I spent much of my career supporting governmental and non-governmental organizations, mainly in finance transformation, operating model improvement, and fixed asset transformation. So today we will be discussing the topic which is becoming increasingly important for many organizations, which is the fixed asset management, and why improving asset visibility, control, the governance of the fixed asset become critical operational and financial performance. Before deep dive in this slide, I would just like to mention the areas or the key areas that I will be covering. So first of all, I will cover the why organizations today are increasingly focuses on the asset management, the business impact of effective asset management, and some of the common challenges. In addition to that, we will talk about the key enablers for asset management and the journey to build a reliable asset register. So the first finance transformation, or why the focusing on asset management nowadays. First of all, there are three main significant reasons for this, which are driving the organization to place a greater focus on asset management. We're talking about finance transformation and digitalization. Currently, as we all know, that the implementation of ERP, digital platforms, advanced analytics solutions is mainly heavy nowadays. And if we don't have clear, accurate, complete data, so these systems will be efficient, or there's no asset visibility. Again, we're talking about, so if we are not able to see where is the asset, which is mainly nowadays is scattered across many systems, either procurement, finance, or even warehouses. Mainly asset records are an accounting system, operations tracking system, sometimes in an Excel sheets, sometimes in maintenance, and which is mainly very critical for manufacturing, infrastructure, industries. All of this is a mainly challenge for the organization to focus more and more on the asset management. The third factor is rising capital based on some industry, which is very critical, such as infrastructure, operational assets. Tracking and governing the fixed asset is very critical. So assume that, for example, we have a manufacturing company investing in new product line, and they are not able to track each and every asset, which is very important for financial or maintenance planning. So after understanding why this asset management gaining attention nowadays, linked to the visibility of the assets, to the transformation, and for the capital investments, we really need to look at the impact of this asset management, which should be like some insights that reflect the main that highlight the importance of asset management. So we are talking about companies that which are mature in asset management. They reduce their equipment failure by around 40%. Also, it's reduced by 50 to 20%. When we use the effective asset management, the ROI increased by three times, or like increased by, let's say, up to three higher return on assets, and finally about 33% higher confidence in the operational performance. Okay, so in many organizations, fixed assets represent one of the largest capital investments, such as infrastructure, energy, government, and in practice, many organizations, even if it's mature or not mature, they are facing several challenges. So sometimes, as I mentioned, inaccurate or outdated asset register. Sometimes the information is spread across multiple systems. The limited visibility over the physical assets, and also in addition to that, many companies, especially governmental, actually, they are struggling in incomplete data due again to the several owner of the fixed asset register. So the goal today of this section is to provide a structured approach to address these challenges by presenting the asset management journey roadmap, map the processes, and enabling the pillars, and build end-to-end asset register, which is accurate and complete. Okay, and to have effective asset management, we have four fundamental enablers. Like any other asset or any other management, starting with the data. In our case, it's represented by the asset register, and then the technology, which represent the system and the digital tools that we will use, which is responsible for tracking, verification, reporting, and the monitoring of the life cycle. Third is the process from acquisition to disposal, passing by capitalization, maintenance, transfer. And this will be covered in the asset life cycle, again, from acquisition to disposal. And finally, the people, to ensure that these assets are properly managed, maintained across the organization. These four elements, data, technology, process, and people, is the foundation to build a reliable asset register, which gonna be or requested to be in each and every. So let us go through a journey of to have this reliable asset inventory management. Yes. So we just discussed the foundation of the asset, and the next step is to understand how organization actually build a reliable fixed asset register or asset data. So if you can see in this pyramid, the base of any management, especially for the asset management, is the data. And to create and to have the data, we need to physically verify, tag the asset. Sometimes nothing in place. They are neither have correct, accurate asset data. Sometimes they are using, for example, Excel files or Excel sheets, and they are not, the assets are not tagged and are not monitored. So this is one part. The other part, sometimes the companies, they have everything, but they are not able, but it's not efficient enough. So in both cases, the main objective here is to go on the ground to collect and capture all the data. And this section, we will discuss it in details in this presentation, and then create a fixed asset list. After that, we will go to the valuation. Also, the valuation, it depends on the type of the asset. For example, to evaluate the land is different than to evaluate a machine or car or any other equipment. Then after we build this fixed asset registers, we need to have asset life cycle policies and procedure which can ensure the maintenance of this fixed asset. So any movement, any acquisition, any maintenance, any disposal, any transfer, even the financial part is going to be part of this asset life cycle. That after we have the data will take place, or this is the very mature part of the. So deep dive in the first foundation or the base of the pyramid. We are talking about building a register. So the methodology here is based on, or like divided into four main fields. We can call it assessment, where we understand the current situation, we review all the existing data, and then and the system and everything related to the four pillars or the four enablers. The second phase is to design what gonna do on the ground. For example, we will design the templates that we will use. We will design the tag that we will be using. We will go in details in the next slides. The third phase is the fieldwork execution, what we will actually do on ground, and how will we capture the data, how we will plan the site, how we will plan our team to do the job. And finally is the reconciliation and finalization. In this phase, actually, there are two parts. The first part is to create the asset list based on the physical verification and all the previous activities. The second phase, or the second sub-phase, is to give values to this asset list. So we will have a fixed asset register. We can say it financial fixed asset register. Okay, so let's look at the first phase of this journey briefly, which is the foundation stage. Which the title is enough to tell us what we will do here. Again, we can call it the assessment or the initiation, the foundation. It depends. So here we are assessing the current asset register, the data. We are identifying all the departments that are dealing with the fixed asset register movement items. We are assessing all the policies which are very critical to our verification, such as the depreciation rates, capitalization threshold, componentization. We are analyzing, understanding what system do they have, the ERP finance module, the procurement records. We are understanding all the evaluation that if they occurred before, we are assessing them. And the objective of this is to have a clear or a single source of asset truth. So after we, for example, collect all the data, assess the data, the completeness, the accuracy of the data, the location of the data, the location of the assets, who own the data, the responsibilities of the current situation, the policies and procedures vertically between each and every departments, the gaps that are there. And based on that, we move to the strategy and design phase, where the verification methodology and execution plan are defined. So once the foundation is established, the current asset data have been assessed. So the next step is to make the strategy, design, and methodology before going on the field and before the actual, which will be actually implemented in the second phase. So the first element is the physical verification methodology, where we identify how the verification process, who will conduct the verification on the ground, who will put the tags. In addition to that, the tag and the template, the template design, the tag and the asset tagging materials that we will use, because for each asset there are specific tags to be used. That could be QR codes, barcodes, RFID. It depends on the industry, on the management request. Also, one of the important designing part in the designing phase is the template, where we are identifying all the attributes in the templates, either financial or non-financial, to be captured during the physical verification. Some of these attributes is already covered in our assessing and the initiation phase, where we collect all the data and have this single source of asset list. And we will update based on this, based on, of course, on the market needs, based on the management needs. Sometimes it will be the template will serve the maintenance department and the finance department. So all of this should be designed properly before we start capturing the data. The most important thing here, we are creating fixed asset register. So the financial part is very critical. So to cover, or part of this design is to create all the asset tree. We create all the useful asset, the useful life, the depreciation rates, again, the capitalization threshold, as I mentioned before, to be consistent. For example, sometimes we have a holding company that own 5 sub-companies or subsidiaries, with different industry. So the main challenge, actually, when they want to consolidate, they have different, when they want to consolidate the fixed asset register, the main challenge is that inconsistency. For example, they don't have the same physical, they don't have the same depreciation rates, they don't have the same level of assets, because the assets have three levels as the tree. They have different componentization policy. They have different capitalization threshold. So all of this is very important to combine it before we go on the ground and capture the data. In addition to that, the handhelds is very important, because it's part of the capturing the data and collecting the data. So identifying which handheld scanners we will use is very important. And after this, we will go on the field work, where we will apply what we design. Actually, we will capture the data, collect all the information based on the asset description, all the attributes that we identified. We will start tag the data based on the design of the data, the uniquely identified number, for example, if it's QR or RFID, the ability to track it, and the ability to see exactly where is this tag. For example, we have 1,000 tables, so all of them should be, the methodology of tagging should be the same. It's like under the table, above the table. So this is part of the physical verification, in addition to the condition assessment, which will provide a valuable insight about 3 main things, actually. The maintenance, which is the asset health, maintenance requirements, and the valuation. And finally, the discrepancies or issues that identify this physical verification will be addressed and will be reconciled in the next phase. So we briefly discussed or cover the asset data and how we can do the asset data and reach complete and accurate asset data. But the four foundation or the key pillars that we mentioned earlier should work together. So after we create the data, we need to standardize the process. We need to support it by technology, and we need to clear the ownership of these assets. And this can be establishing this asset management framework should cover all of these key enablers within a proper or specific duration of time. This from my side, Gayan, Eitan.
So thank you all for attending this webinar. We hope you found it insightful. We will respond to every question and reach out to every single one of you that have any further questions. So if you have any queries, please feel free to drop in at ua@mbgcorp.com or visit our website, mbgcorp.com/AE. So rest assured, we will continue to share knowledge with all of you by organizing more webinars, seminars, and workshops on topics of interest. Please follow our MBG Corporate Services LinkedIn page to be up to date. So thank you once again to all the participants, and a special thanks to our speakers today, Janaki, Ganesh, and Mahmoud. So wishing you all a really great day and see you next time.